Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Work It, Live It, Own It, where we're taking burnout and turning it into brilliance. I am Sokola Lair, a work-life harmony strategist, here sharing with you practical tips and strategies. And today's topic is going to make some of us uncomfortable. I know it makes me uncomfortable from time to time, especially for high-achieving people. We know how to succeed, right? But do we actually know how to rest? And that is a truth that makes many of us uncomfortable because rest is not a reward for exhaustion. It is a requirement for brilliance. And so if you have been treating rest like a metric to conquer, or perhaps a luxury that you earn by completely burning yourself out or emptying your tank first, then the reality is you're not resting. We're not resting. We're just recovering from burnout. And so today we're going to be talking about the difference between genuine restoration and the kind that rest that leaves you depleted. And the best way to summarize this and to bring it home is if you've ever been on vacation and you've enjoyed yourself on vacation, but you get home only to realize you need another vacation or a few more days to rest from your vacation. Or perhaps you may have found yourself optimizing your downtime so much that it feels like work, then this episode is for you. This conversation is for you. But let's talk about the problem with how we rest today. And even particularly for women, we're used to driving results, right? We're used to managing households and leading teams. And the concept of doing absolutely nothing may feel entirely foreign to us, right? Because we've been conditioned to believe that every minute of the day should be productive, right? And when we do finally take a break, well, we want to turn our break into some form of a project. Have you felt like that? Oh, this is a great time to clean out my garage. This is a great time to organize my closet. This is a time for me to read a self-improvement book while I'm on the beach, or perhaps listen to an industry podcast while I'm on my run or my daily walk. Or we use the weekends to meal prep, organize, catch up on emails. And guys, listen, I understand because on the weekends, that is what are we going to do? When is it going to get done during the week, especially if we're running a business or working a 9 to 5 and we have a family? How are we going to catch up? How are we going to get things done? That is the problem. That's what we're addressing today. So we are resting our bodies sometimes, right? When we go on vacation, but our minds may still be running a marathon. And you know what I mean? If you're a woman and you're living in that time period of life, if we're in the prime of life, our bodies may be tired. We may lay our head down, but then whoof, our minds are going 1,000 miles per minute. And guys, guess what? That is the issue. Now, sometimes we may need to consult a health practitioner. Sometimes we may need therapy to help us with those things, especially cognitive behavioral therapy. And I encourage you to seek out that help and assistance if you need to. I've done it. Okay. I'm not immune to asking for help. But the problem is that kind of optimized downtime, it doesn't restore us. It just changes the scenery of our exhaustion. We may not be working in our business. We may not be at work. We may be at home. We may be on vacation. And we're using that same productive mindset when it's actually our downtime. So why do we do this? Well, I have discovered for me, it's because stillness feels dangerous, especially when your entire identity has been built on being capable, being productive, being the reliable one, right? And if you stop moving, you might have to sit with the exhaustion that you've been outrunning this whole time. And so society, yes, I'm putting the blame on society a little bit because society tells us that our value is tied to our output, right? We're not successful if we don't produce results. And so we feel guilty when we're not producing. And we believe that if we are not constantly moving forward, then what else are we doing but falling behind? And so that mindset turns rest into a source of anxiety instead of a source of renewal. And I know the cycle intimately. I remember going on vacation a few years back, and I was supposed to be unplugging. But instead of listening to the ocean, I'm planning, I'm content creating, and I have this notebook and I'm furiously writing out my goals for the next quarter. And I felt terrified that if I wasn't doing this, then I was going to lose momentum. And I couldn't even allow myself to enjoy the sound of the ocean waves. And most recently, and if you notice videos, some episodes have been kind of random. And it's because 6 months ago, this really hit home for me. My word for this year is well-being. And unbeknownst to me, things started happening, shifting in my health. Now, I had goals that I was just going to do. I actually just finished writing my book, Harmony Hustle for Women, and I was ready for it to go out for distribution. And no sooner than I finished my book, things started happening. It had even gotten to the point that I couldn't move. My mobility was limited and I couldn't do basic things for myself. And recently they've kind of honed in on I have an autoimmune condition. And recently in the past month, I've been to the emergency room and I've been hospitalized twice. And the last hospital visit that I was there, I was supposed to be resting. And as you know, if you're staying in a hospital, you don't rest because they're coming in and out constantly, right? I picked up my phone and I started doing what I call a brain dump, getting all my thoughts out and as far as content ideas and putting it on my phone. And I called myself out on it. And I said, here you are, needing support, needing help to get better back on your feet. And you're not allowing yourself to restore, to renew, to rejuvenate because you're doing this. And I said, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this brain dump because I know me. If I keep all the thoughts and ideas in my head, they're just going to ruminate and it's going to drive me absolutely crazy. I said, put it down onto your phone and then put the phone down. I had to call myself out on it. And that is one of the biggest keys is calling yourself and making note and being aware of this is what you're doing. Okay. If you're going to have your own back, you also have to be able to call yourself out on your stuff and what you're doing. So again, guys, I know this intimately. And listen, when I realized years ago that my inability to rest was actually sabotaging my brilliance, I knew that something had to change. So how do you make that shift? How do you begin to make that change? That brings us to the N in Prone to Power that I discussed in my book, Harmony Hustle for Women. And that is navigating your boundaries, navigating boundaries. We have to be able to navigate our boundaries, not just by saying no to other people. That's not what navigating boundaries is about. It's also about saying no to the voice in our own head that keeps us working when we're supposed to be resting. Again, we've got to draw the line for ourselves. We can't just sit up here and say, oh, I'm just navigating boundaries when it comes to other people. No, it also applies to ourselves. It's about creating a boundary around your downtime and fiercely protecting it from the infiltration of productivity. So, how do we start resting for real? How do we start by doing this? By changing the goal. We have to change the goal. If you're so goal oriented, then here's a new goal for you. And if you're listening to this and realizing that, yes, I haven't actually rested in years, then you are, in a sense, recovering from exhaustion just so you can go back to producing. That's not resting. That's not rejuvenation. And I want you to know that that realization is heavy. You're going to have to sit with that reality. You're going to have to take it in. But also realize that while you're taking this in and you're having this realization, you're not broken for not knowing how to stop. Again, we have been trained to be this way by a world that profits from endless output, from productivity, production lines. We're all about producing. But guess what? You are allowed to stop producing. You are allowed to have time that belongs to absolutely no one, not even for your self-improvement goals. So, here's a practical tip that I apply. Again, feel free to use it. If you have other suggestions, put them in the comments. I would love to hear from you on how you actually rejuvenate and restore. So I want you to give yourself 15 minutes of complete unproductive time. No podcast, no planning, no organizing, just sit and be. I mean, for goodness sakes, stare out the window. Look at the birds. Seriously, drink your coffee, your tea, whatever drink you want without scrolling on your phone. Put the phone down. Now, listen, if you want to set a 15-minute timer on your phone, great. Do that. But then put the phone down. When the urge to do something useful or when the urge to pick that phone back up hits you, I want you to just notice it, okay? And stay seated. Don't go grab the phone. Don't get up if the phone rings, okay? 15 minutes. If you have kids, tell them, mommy is taking some time. I will come out when I need to. But in the meantime, you know how you have to talk to your kids. Don't do anything crazy, okay? Don't hit your brother, your sister, whatever. Don't hit the dog, don't hit the cat, all right? Mommy is taking some time. And it, of course, is going to feel a little uncomfortable at first. And of course, if you have kids or you have family members, they may not be able to respect that initially. And they may say, mommy, you know how it is. You know how it is. So don't give up. Over time, they'll get used to it. You'll get used to it and you'll get adjusted. But again, just take that 15 minutes. Again, when that urge hits you to pick up the phone or to do something, just sit with it, but stay seated. Remember, the whole point is to be able to accomplish your goals and dreams. But you can do this without forsaking your family, without forsaking your health, yourself, your well-being, because true brilliance actually requires genuine rest. You can't be brilliant. You can't shine in your own brilliance when you're exhausted. And so it is time to move from burnout to brilliance. Again, if you have any other practical strategies that you would like to share that have worked for you, please put them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. I would also love to learn from you. So thank you for tuning in. If you made it this far to another episode of Work It, Live It, Own It. Again, if this podcast has challenged you to think about rest, I want you to share it with a friend, download it, who may need a permission to pause and rest. And if you want to dive deeper on navigating boundaries, go ahead and grab a copy of my book, Harmony Hustle for Women, How to Master the Art of Thriving in Life and Career. Until next time, guys, continue to work it, live it, own it in your everyday lives. Take care.